Let's do it.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Hey everyone, how are you all doing today? So when Episode 2 Attack of the Clones hit theaters in 2002, we were introduced to a new Sith Lord, and one of my favorites, Darth Tyrannus, aka Count Dooku, aka the Count of Sereno. His power was crazy when he dominated Anakin and Obi-Wan, and then he went toe-to-toe against Yoda, which was the first time that we saw Yoda use his lightsaber in the movies. I mean, I remember I was 12 years old, it was crazy in the theater, everyone was going nuts, they were clapping, they were cheering, and it was definitely an awesome memory that I have. I remember thinking, wow, he's so powerful. Now, almost 20 years later, we're finally learning more about that master and apprenticeship in the new canon audiobook, Dooku, Jedi Lost. You guys have heard me talk about it before. It's really a fun audiobook, and I really enjoy it. In it, we learn why Yoda, who was the Grand Master of the Jedi Order and normally didn't take his own Padawan, chose to personally initiate Dooku, and that Dooku originally wanted to be trained by another Jedi Master. Prior to Yoda, Dooku had his eyes set on a Jedi Master named Lyn Costana, a Altiri female who served the Jedi prior to the events of Episode 1. Dooku wanted to be trained by her because of her expertise in Sith artifacts. Dooku was fascinated with them and even snuck into the Jedi archives one night with Sifo Dyas to look at some. The whole part in the audiobook gave me a very Harry Potter vibe, and it was something that was definitely fun to listen to. Master Costana shared Dooku's obsession, and she went around the galaxy locating and analyzing Sith and Darkside artifacts so that the Jedi could prepare for the inevitable return of the Sith. She believed that the Sith would return sooner and the Jedi needed to be ready, a view that the rest of the Jedi didn't share, especially Grand Master Yoda and the rest of the Jedi Council. Now, Yoda believed that finding relics was unnecessary and could potentially lead to the dark side. He especially disagreed with Master Costana that younglings and padawans needed to be prepared for a potential return of the Sith. He believed that they wouldn't come back. Her fascination with these artifacts was so strong that Dooku even accused her to be a secret Sith when he was still a youngling, a claim that he later learned to be incorrect, but also strengthened his desire to be trained by her. If a Jedi can learn from the dark side and resists its call like she was doing, he wanted to learn it too. So when it came time for the Masters to choose their apprentice, Dooku was ready. At this time of the Jedi Order, younglings paired off to have a lightsaber duel with each other in front of the Masters, and the Masters would be guided by the Force in selecting the Padawan that they wanted to train. Dooku wanted to impress Master Costana, so he fought and defeated his friend Sifo Dyas with one hand behind his back and blindfolded. To his surprise, though, Master Costana selected Sifo Dyas as her apprentice. How could she do this? It was outrageous, it was unfair, and he knew that she felt a connection with him over the quest for Sith artifacts, but she still chose another. His anger was tempered, though, when Yoda surprisingly chose him as a Padawan. While it wasn't against the Jedi Code for members of the Jedi Council to take Padawans of their own, it was rarely ever done, except in emergencies, because the nature of their work would separate master and apprentice, often, and would be unfair to both. However, Dooku would indeed become Yoda's first Padawan in quite some time. When his training with Yoda begins, Dooku finds Yoda meditating in the courtyard. Dooku tries to get his attention, but Yoda doesn't respond. Dooku figures he doesn't want his meditation disturbed, so he leaves and comes back the next day to find Yoda still meditating and still ignoring him. Dooku comes back day after day and is ignored for an entire month, his anger rising and rising each day until he pulls out trees from their roots to get Yoda's attention. Now, this part in the audiobook was really sweet because he actually manipulates mud to make it look like sculptures, and is basically just doing anything to impress Yoda at this point. Yoda finally opens his eyes and simply asks Dooku if Dooku is ready to begin his training. So the start of Dooku's apprenticeship is full of trolling and starts with a bang. During the course of his training, Yoda often had Dooku go on missions with other Jedi, so Yoda could remain on Coruscant for his Grand Master duties. On one occasion, Dooku got to join Master Costana and Sifo Dyas to track down a relic where they were ambushed by a Darkside sect and are about to be sacrificed as part of a Darkside ritual. Dooku experiences a series of visions of his future and uses Force Lightning for the first time in order to kill the captors. This surprises Master Costana, but she lets her obsession with the Darkside overcome her better Jedi judgment, and she says they should keep this a secret between them and not tell Master Yoda. Check out my other video on that to learn more about it. So even though Master Costana was not his official master, she mentored the young Dooku unlike any any other Jedi. She once even told him a story about a Sith Lord named Darth Sidious as a lesson to test the young Jedi, and told him that this Sith Lord had used a curved lightsaber. So now we know where Dooku came up with the idea, and probably, partially, why he used one. Of course, it also helped him with his unique fencing style. So if Master Costana was going to mentor the young Dooku anyways, why did Yoda feel the need to take on the extra burden of training a Padawan? It's something that Dooku asked himself on more than one occasion, even confiding with Sifo Dyas when he said, "For as long as I can remember, I felt as if I don't belong." "Don't say that," replied Sifo. "You are the most accomplished Padawan in a generation. Everyone says so. You say so most of the time. As long as I've known you, you've strived to be the best. No, actually, it's more than that. You've known that you are the best. Remember when Yoda chose you as his Padawan? The others were surprised, but not me. It made complete sense. Yoda would want to shape you." Dooku quickly responds, "What if I don't want to be shaped? Everyone is so sure of my future. Yoda, the Council, I'll become a knight one day and take a Padawan of my own, become a master, join the Council, and then what? Rule the galaxy?" says Sifo Dyas incredulously. Dooku looks at him confidently and says, "I could." Now what I love about this conversation is how much it foreshadows a similar conversation that Anakin and Padme will have years later, where he says that someone should rule the galaxy. It also foreshadows Dooku's rise to leader of the Confederacy in the Clone Wars, linking these two characters and their lust for power very well. But this conversation between Dooku and Sifo Dyas also tells us two reasons why Yoda chose to personally train Dooku. One, because Dooku had the potential to be one of the most powerful Jedi in years, and Yoda was the best equipped to train such a raw power, himself being the most powerful Jedi in the Order. The second reason is because Yoda sensed Dooku's arrogance and his fascination with the dark side. Yoda only trusted himself to train him. Dooku's fall to the dark side is an intriguing one, and it amazes me how it affects the way Yoda approaches Anakin's training all those years later. Please check out my video about that and see how Yoda always had Dooku in mind when Anakin showed up at Temple all those years ago when he was a little boy and began his training. So what do you all think? Would things have been different for Dooku if Yoda hadn't trained him? Would he have been as powerful, and would he have turned to the dark side? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. Please leave a like if you did, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.